I've been on YouTube for officially 10 years now. It's been my full-time job for 5 years now. And I've seen this platform ebb and flow and change and grow a lot over the last decade. And so I thought maybe it could just be helpful to somebody if I sit down and give you 10 things that I think you should know before starting a YouTube channel in 2025, if it's something you're interested in. And it's still totally possible to build a career doing this. So these are just some of my thoughts and observations. I actually have a million, but I'm gonna limit it to 10 today. And if you would like a part 2, we could absolutely do that. So without further ado, let's get into it. First and most important that I tell everybody that approaches me when they're like, I kind of want to start a YouTube channel, like, can I make a job doing this? Is yes, but it might take you a few years to get monetized. I've actually watched a lot of fellow creators grow starting around the same time as me, and we all became monetized around the same time, and we all were able to make it somewhat of an income around the same time. And what I mean by like becoming monetized is not necessarily being accepted onto the creator side and, you know, getting AdSense, ad revenue from YouTube, but making enough stable, consistent income to where you're like, okay, maybe I can cut back on the other work that I'm doing and have this be something reliable. And I think a lot of people get discouraged within the first year when they're not making any money. You basically do have to work for free for a while. The key to sustaining through that season is just like genuinely loving the content creation process. Those are the people that stick it out long enough to actually become monetized. But I kind of phrase it and frame it in this perspective for a lot of people that are interested. I'm like, it's the norm to go to college for 4 years and to pay to go to college for 4 years to have a career when you're done with that experience. And so if you look at YouTube as, this might be as long as a college experience, this might be 4 years, but I'm not gonna pay to do it. In fact, I'm gonna start making a little bit of money and it's gonna increase as I go along. And that kind of like reframes it in a more approachable perspective culturally. And that transition is what weeds a lot of people out. So sticking through that transition and kind of being okay with working a job for free for a while is the thing that you have to accept. And it is still that way in 2025. You see some people blow up overnight, but on YouTube specifically, it's a lot less of that. You see that more on like TikTok and short form platforms. YouTube, just if you're going into it, have the mindset that it's probably gonna be slow and steady for a while before you really start seeing a good amount of traction. The second thing I would want you to know is there's a huge difference between growth concepts and sustain concepts. What I mean by that is the types of videos you put out are for two completely different audiences. You would say that this video for me on my channel is more of a growth concept. It's not necessarily for my existing audience. My existing audience is mostly here for vlogs, for lifestyle, day in the life content, which is so great, but it is nearly impossible to grow a channel off of day in the life content, vlog, lifestyle type of things like that aren't necessarily performing in search. So you have to be really, really mindful about kind of diversifying your content. I have knowingly leaned into mostly sustaining content over the last couple of years because I have been pretty pleased with where I'm at. I haven't really felt a desire to grow. I like this community and I'm okay with sustaining it. But if you're trying to grow, doing only lifestyle vlogs is going to be a lot harder to grow than doing specific videos with a specific topic that are more like edutainment, which is like a weird word you hear, where it's like educational entertainment, because people treat YouTube like a search platform. For example, if you found this video, maybe you looked up starting a YouTube channel in 2025. That is something that's gonna get fresh eyeballs on your content. If you're wanting to be a lifestyle creator, my suggestion to you would be don't only do vlogs, but every once in a while, throw in something that could perform well in search. Or rather, title your vlogs with something very specific. Like if you want to do a vlog setting up a dinner party for your friends, make that the theme of the title. How to throw outdoor garden dinner party vlog. So my kind of formula that I've tried to do over the years is I do 2 vlogs a week and I have 1 video a week that is just a little more experimental. I feel like historically that was a good balance of 1/3 of my videos are kind of for, you know, experimenting with reaching potential new audiences, and then 2/3 of my videos were for sustaining the audience that I have. 3, let's talk about niching yourself down. There are a lot of pros and cons with becoming a more niche content creator. I would consider myself a very broad content creator. I have no niche at all. I jump around to a million trillion different topics, which has a lot of pros. It has a lot of cons as well. I have some friends that have very specific niches. Like, I want to shout out my friend Jamie Wolfer. She is a wedding planner. Her whole YouTube channel is wedding planning content. I want to shout out my friend Becca de la Plants is her YouTube channel. She's very specifically niched as well. All of her content is about plants. And watching them have a niche, I was really intrigued because they were able to really kill the SEO algorithm game. And also, if they had sponsors in their category, their sponsors would pay a lot more because they were almost seen as like experts in that field. So if there was a plant sponsor, they would pay way more to be on a plant YouTube channel than just a lifestyle YouTube channel. Or if there was a wedding sponsor, they'd pay a lot more to be on a wedding YouTube channel than just a lifestyle YouTube channel. For me, having kind of no niche has had pros and cons, and the fact that I, in terms of sponsorships, so much feels organic. I can make so much work. I can have health supplements, beauty products, home things, cooking things, all sorts of things in my content with it not feeling out of place. But I'm a dime a dozen. There's a million of me. So brands aren't as interested in paying me as much because I am just not specialized in anything. In terms of longevity with niches, like I said, if you have a niche, you will kind of crush it in terms of search and in terms of algorithm. One thing I've appreciated about not having a niche is that I am able to kind of change my content over the years as trends change and as my interests change. I am a type of person that can get burned out easily, and I don't really have a robust knowledge on a singular topic that I'm just so passionate about. So for me, I have loved being able to kind of pivot my channel from subscription boxes to thrifting to cooking to all these different things as my interests change. And I think that has kept me from burnout. I have been on a 3-video-a-week schedule for I can't even tell you how many years. And I think being able to play around with new topics has kept that fresh for me. Whereas if I were to have a specific niche, I think I would be out of ideas by now, frankly. Thumbnail and title are more important than you think. I think a downfall of a lot of creators is they put all their time into making their video because obviously that's the meat. That's the meat of it. But how you package your video will determine if people even click on it or not. And how is somebody going to fall in love with you and your content if they're not even going to click on it? So I think a lot of people think the thumbnail and the title are the least important because it takes 20 seconds, but actually think about it as like marketing. Think about it as packaging. Out of all the products on the shelf, what is going to make somebody buy your product and take it home and try it? I would really recommend, there's actually a pretty cool new feature within the last year or so on YouTube where you can test 3 different thumbnails at once. And what you'll do is you'll upload 3 versions of your thumbnail and YouTube will try showing different versions. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think YouTube will even say, hey, Bob, here's option A. Bob doesn't click on it. Later, Bob opens up YouTube again and they go, hey, Bob, here's option B. Does this video interest you now? And maybe Bob will click on it then. And then you're able to actually see how each thumbnail performed. And you could say, oh, they like when there's a lot of images on it so they can really see what all goes on in the vlog. Or, oh, for my audience, they like simple, simple, simple. The title should have about 60 to 80 characters, is at least what they would tell us in the olden days of YouTube, and should have a lot of highly searchable terms, even if it's a vlog. I see some other lifestyle girlies that I love to watch just say like, day in the life, hang out with me, etc. And like none of those are really searchable terms. And so something that could be a little more searchable is day in the life, thrifting my spring wardrobe, and easy homemade dinner idea. And both of those things are more searchable. So all that to say, spend a lot of time thinking about your thumbnail and your title because that is going to determine if someone clicks. And if somebody clicks, it determines everything else. Point number 5 to consider. There might be a long form resurgence. For a while, I was a little bit nervous about YouTube. I'm a long form content girl. I love to be chatty. I love to like spend a couple days making one thing to go out on the internet instead of just like batch filming a ton of short form content and just kind of like vomiting it out there into the world. And I was getting nervous 2021, 2, 3 with TikTok becoming more and more prevalent and people just like kind of becoming addicted to the scroll of short form content. I think audiences are starting to get a little bit fatigued with that. Audiences are also perhaps getting a little fatigued with like traditional TV. There's just so many different streaming platforms. You have to pay for all of them. It's kind of like a mess. So YouTube feels like a replacement for for television that's free and perhaps more approachable because you can really find specifically what you're looking for. You can watch a vlog or you can watch something to where you feel like you're a little bit more educated. I think that people are starting to fall back in love with long form content a little bit. And I will say from a sponsor perspective, as somebody who takes some brand deals on Instagram, TikTok versus YouTube, sponsors are a lot more likely to pay more for a long form video because your audience is more engaged. They stick around longer. And also, if you have a 60-second TikTok with a sponsor integrated, you're only talking about them for 20 seconds. If you have a 30-minute YouTube video with a sponsor integrated, you're talking about them for 2 whole minutes. So there's a lot of benefits to long form content, and I think audiences are, maybe I'm projecting because I hope this is true, but I think audiences are starting to swing back to preferring it a little bit. Sub point to that, there will be seasonality. If you do YouTube for a long time, you're going to have seasons of growth. You're going to have seasons of death. A lot of that is in your control and a lot of that is not. Especially if you're doing lifestyle content, you're going to go through personal seasons of your life where things are just more interesting. Maybe you get engaged, maybe you buy a house, maybe you get pregnant. If you have a season, even like maybe a year where things are slower, you feel like you're not growing, it's cyclical, it's seasonal. It's the longer you stick it out, you'll have like booming seasons and you'll have like really dry spells. And knowing that that's normal, I think really helps kind of grasp going through those drier seasons. This brings me to point number 6, which has some similarities to the last. It is unavoidable that people will say things about you. I think also going into starting a YouTube channel with this knowledge and understanding and acceptance will help that feel less burdensome. Like, it's pretty much guaranteed when you start a YouTube channel and you're not getting a lot of views yet, that people you know from your real life will probably say some things about you. They'll probably say, oh, what, is she trying to become an influencer? Okay, we'll see how this goes. And then, inevitably, once you start having more success, more views, more eyeballs, people you don't know will say things about you. And something that I think about that helps this as well is everything comes with a cost. Once you're doing this as a job full time, it is a dream job. Like, there's so much good about it. You get to wake up and choose what you create every day. You get to be in control of your schedule. So much about it is so great. You get to connect with amazing people. The only thing that is, I would say, the biggest cost is you do have to have thick skin. And that's on every social media platform. You see that with TikTokers, with Instagrammers, with everything, is you have access to every person in the world, essentially, at your fingertips. And you're sharing things about yourself, your life. Maybe it's vulnerable. And maybe it's, you know, a hot take. Maybe you're sharing a perspective that isn't as common. And so people are going to disagree with you. People are going to have things to say. And yet again, it's inevitable. And so if you're okay with that, do it. But if that seems like way too heavy, then maybe don't. That, yet again, brings me to the next point. Point number 7, be mindful about how much information you want to share starting out. Like I said, if you share more personal things, the more you share about yourself and your own life, the more you open up conversation to. But also, if you're interested in pursuing lifestyle, work-life balance can get pretty blurry. Everything about life could turn into work and everything about work could turn into life. And I have seen a lot of people struggle with that over the years, including myself. So if you are like, no, lifestyle is what I want to do. I want to do vlogs. That's the most fun for me. Amazing, incredible. Just go into it with a plan of, I'm gonna vlog this many days a week and I'm not gonna vlog this many days a week. Or here's things I will show versus not show. Maybe you're a mom. Maybe you don't want to show your children at all. I encourage that, I applaud that, and that's gonna be my plan once I have kids, but go into it like with a strict boundary in mind. I have seen it affect a lot. Relationships, friendships. You don't want your friends to feel like every time you're around them, you are filming them and you're putting them on the internet. So what's some privacy you want to have for your community? Just a lot to keep in mind when you're going into this. And some people only film in a studio, sit down videos about specific topics, and you know nothing about their personal life. And maybe that is the route you want to pursue for those reasons. So just keep that in mind. That's like a big sisterly, tough love kind of thing that I would tell you. Point number 8, you really can do this for free. Like, you really don't have to spend any money doing this. In the modern day and age with our really nice cell phones, you can do so much. You can use your back-facing camera, set it in front of a mirror so that you can see yourself. The camera, the mic is totally good enough. You can edit for free on iMovie. You can do this for free if you have a smartphone. There is really no barrier to entry. But if I were to recommend 2 things, I would recommend a compact vlog camera, and I would recommend buying some sort of editing software where you could do more. I'm a Final Cut Pro girl. I know Tara, who's editing this video right now, she's a Premiere girl. I know Jordy, who edits his own content. He's a CapCut Pro kind of guy. Like he bought CapCut on his computer. Everybody has their own thing that they like. Just pick a software, learn a software. In terms of cameras, I've bought some very nice cameras over the years. I've spent too much money on cameras and I don't use any of them anymore. Most of them I have sold because the one I'm using right now, this is the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. The older version is not as good. The older version is so cropped in. This newer version is so much better. But this camera, I've used this for everything for the last couple years. So you don't need to buy the most expensive fancy equipment. This is a nice camera, but in the scale of cameras, you could spend thousands of dollars and you really don't need to do that. So I just want to encourage you, don't feel like you need to buy anything to get started. Get started on your phone and a free editing software. But if you do want to level up, don't feel like you have to buy the best of the best. There's totally great things out there for $200 editing software and like I forget how much this camera is, maybe $700 camera. You know? 9, this is an interesting thing that I've been thinking about specifically in 2025. I do feel like this is a way that the landscape has been changing, and I've watched some like deep dive podcast episodes about this, and that is the concept of subscribers is kind of dying out. People aren't seeing subscriber growth in 2025 like they were seeing previously. Subscribers don't mean as much as they used to. They still mean a lot, and you have to have a certain number of subscribers and watch hours to become monetized on YouTube. But I think that we can really blame TikTok for this yet again, because TikTok was the first platform we ever saw that there was just a For You page. You were just being fed content. You weren't going out and seeking out specific creators to follow them like you used to, but you didn't have to follow someone to start curating a feed. Now you've seen Instagram take this on as well, to where people that you don't even follow pop up on your feed. And YouTube is doing this a lot more too. So I feel like us as humans are relying so much more on the algorithm than we are subscription feeds. I don't know if you've seen this in your YouTube algorithm, but mine has been kind of wonky lately. There's a lot of people I watch all the time that aren't showing up as much as they used to. Like YouTube is kind of feeding me new things based off the topics of videos that I watch, not so much the people that I watch. And just algorithms are forever changing. The way that humans interact with media is forever changing. And I think that that is something that is currently like dwindling off a little bit, is the concept of a subscriber. So that's just something that I would say. Take note of, be aware of, see if you think it rings true in 2025, because it is interesting. It is interesting. And 10, YouTube Shorts can be helpful, but I feel like YouTube doesn't fully have it ironed out yet. When YouTube Shorts first came out, they were really pushing it. YouTube got on meetings with monetized creators saying, hey, post YouTube Shorts. We are prioritizing this right now. And in that time, when they were really pushing it and prioritizing it, I had a couple YouTube Shorts get millions of views, and it did help the growth of my channel. It did get me some subscribers. But since then, YouTube Shorts have been not really popping off for me in particular. And it's just interesting to see that there's also been kind of a seasonality of YouTube prioritizing different types of content. It's also ever changing. They're now allowing 3-minute shorts. For a while, it was only 60 seconds. Then I think it was 90 seconds. Now it's 3 minutes. It's something that I think YouTube themselves are trying to figure out too. But I have had some friends grow huge off of shorts. I met a girl who got her subscriber plaque purely reposting her TikToks to YouTube Shorts. She never did any long form content. She just said, oh, my TikToks are doing well. I'll throw them up over here and see what happens too. She got 100,000 subscribers. She got a plaque. So it's interesting. It's a tool to play with, but not to rely on. Things are ever changing. You're going to have to pivot and ebb and flow as the platforms do. I do recommend recycling some of your other content onto Shorts. One thing that is just impossible is there's so many platforms. Nobody is able to create long form YouTube videos plus separate short form content for YouTube versus separate from Instagram versus separate from TikTok. So it's just kind of like acceptable and understandable to try throwing different things up on different platforms, and maybe it'll pop off on Instagram and maybe not on TikTok, or maybe it will on Shorts, but maybe not on Instagram, all the different things. Feel free to play around, give yourself permission. There's so many new tools that YouTube is always coming out with, and playing around with them is definitely the key to kind of figuring out new little avenues to get new fresh eyeballs if you're trying to grow a channel from scratch. Those were the top 10 tips that came to my mind when I was just thinking about them. but I have 10 years of thoughts, and 2025, I feel like the landscape is actually kind of changing a lot. So I'm reassessing and reevaluating in a lot of ways. I feel like for me and my channel, I've reached a point where I'm gonna have to evolve if I wanna keep it up, or I'm going to have to accept like a slow dwindle down and wind down of my career if I wanna keep it the same. And kind of weighing, which do I wanna do? Because I kind of really like what I'm doing right now. I'm in a season of following the stoke. If you watch my vlogs, you've heard me say that. And that's just simply doing the things that sound most fun to me, because my bonus tip for you is your audience can feel when you're excited to talk about something or create something versus when you're doing it begrudgingly or because you think you should. I've been really intentional about following the stoke. Right now, my stoke is really interested in just doing more like chatty things. I've always loved business. I've loved dreaming and scheming and entrepreneurship and all sorts of things. So feel free to hang around if you want to see more videos like this. You'll definitely get a lot of vlogs. I love you guys. Thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I'll see you in a video very soon.